as we always say, like a bit of tough love, but hopefully you've taken some stuff from it. I think just what I would feedback, generally speaking, I've said it all across the afternoon, but just to kind of consolidate, I think the main takeaway, I think, from this session today was this aspect of LICEF, as Nigel has re-acronymed it. How things affect a patient day to day, how physical complaints affect our daily lives and therefore perhaps our mental health can be a bigger issue than the physical complaint in the first place. So to explore it and to have someone be interested in that and to, as a patient, have offloaded that, it's helpful to a patient just to have expressed that, how it's affecting them daily. You think of this, the teenager, you imagine you're a teenager, you're worried about having like an accident, like bleeding through your clothes, getting to, imagine the other school children, like just getting into that mindset. She's in pain, she can't concentrate, she's got GCSEs, this is happening every month for a week, every month. So, thinking about that, the lady, the head teacher, she's a smart woman, she's well respected, and she's clever, and she's just forgot her train of thought and all over the place. So, thinking about those aspects, is super important. How things affect us, day to day is really important to explore. ICE is not only good for you in terms of kind of structurally giving you a starting place, knowing kind of what journey you're about to go on, readdressing. It's not only good for that, but again, as a patient, it makes us feel like we have some kind of autonomy over our care, that you care about what we think. And interestingly, I think, some patients with these chronic conditions, sometimes I think they are sometimes more knowledgeable than maybe you in some occasions because they're the expert in that condition. So I think it's useful for you to hear what they have to say about and their take on that condition. So it's nice again because it makes us feel like you care about what we have to say about this and that you are taking on board everything that we are offering. So it's really important, and how we feel, all of that is so important. And I feel like sometimes today some aspects were addressed but not all of them, so I think they can afford to be fully explored. As I say, in every scenario that we get, in every case that we get sent to us, it will have an answer to ICE. And even if it's that we don't know, it will be stated in there. So it's important to ask. AEE is always super important. You can't AEE enough. You really have to acknowledge kind of the difficulty, the shock, the pain, which for the most part was done quite well today, but a little bit more of the first and the second E, actually, I would have liked a little bit more of. And finally, just to kind of finish with what I started with, is, really making sure we're listening all the time, actively listening. There was a little bit of repetition, I think, in, was it the Jenny Mason case. So just making sure, you're not repeating yourself, that you're really hearing things, particularly in that case, you think she's so low, and you're that low and everything is an effort. Everything is a huge effort. So if I'm having to say something once, to then have to repeat it is an epic effort. So yeah, really listening. LICEF, AE and AEE, and really listening. I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for Lou. Thanks so much, Lou. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing moving forward. So I'm just going to share a few slides and then we're going to go around, I suppose, see what your take-home messages are, and then we'll talk about score prediction. So well done. I can't highlight the importance of moving forwards in a smart way after today. A lot of people unfortunately get back into bad habits very, very quickly. And one of the issues is when you go back into study groups, immediately what we teach here will be diluted because, people will start saying, well, I went on this course, I was told to do this, I was told to do that. All I can say is you have to decide what you want to believe. And you're having access after today for 30 days complimentary to the mentor online consults. You have to use this. We've had people who haven't and have really bombed out, and we've had people who've used it really effectively, understood the mantras, and absolutely smashed this exam out of the water. So please use those 30 days, because if you don't use it, you're just going to lose it, and then you're going to have to pay for it if you want to resubscribe. And I just want to draw your attention to this IMG who was a top scorer. Whenever I mentioned your buzzword dilemma in a case, the least I got was a pass in both management and relating to others, and usually a clear pass because of the way in which we handled tough negotiations. I learned to improve in terms of relating to others, listening to the videos, And I'm really happy to tell you the majority of my clear passes came from relating to others. In addition, you taught me how to prime and use case notes so well, I was able to predict challenges coming in from just looking at simple things, family history, age, medications, observations, and this also applied to the ones with very little information, like the one Hannah had in her first round. Just literally name, age, move to this country. Why? What do you want from me? You want something from me? It's a negotiation station. Negotiation is a dilemma. That's a battle plan, basically. So, so important that you understand this. As I said, you'll get the code. It'll be sent later today, along with your e-receipt, certificate of attendance. So do check your bulk and spam folders because it may hit there because of the attachments. But the code will be activated tomorrow morning, and it will be valid um, from tomorrow morning. So in 30 days it will expire. So please use it. I do offer one-to-one mentoring, and I'll send you details of how it works. The dilemma there is I'm mentoring close to 40 resits at the moment, which is probably the busiest I've ever been in teaching the MRCGP for the last 22 years. And that unfortunately is just a reflection of the really poor pass rate. But if you're interested, then um, you can let me know. I don't take any new mentees on unless they've done this flagship course because I'm not going to start from scratch with people. So the only people who can access the one-to-one waiting list are in order of preference active participants and then observers. If you're an active participant, I've made very detailed notes on all of you, so I know what cases to pick to hone your deficiencies in very quickly, but it is just a matter of timing. But I'll send you details of that. And obviously, we've got AKT stuff. Our master class just finished, but we are running classes for June. And if this is of any interest to your peers, very grateful if you could forward it on. I'll send you details of that too. So, top tip eight really is how you move forwards in terms of using the blueprint. Um, as I mentioned, it's about quality, not quantity. Every one of these cases could have been done better today, more strategically. Just because you've done the case doesn't mean you know the case. You really need to um, empower yourself by consolidating these positive behaviors, and you also have to be calling out bad behaviors. If you're not doing that in your study groups, then what are you doing? Honestly, if you sat in on an afternoon with my lot at St Mary's, it'd probably be shocking to you because they're all like mini examiners. They just won't take any crap. They'll just go like, "Why are you asking me that?" I mean, they'll literally just time out and go, "Why are you asking? Why? What's that got to do? What's that got to do with what we're talking about? Literally, what has that got to do with what we're talking about?" And this is also reflective in our marks because